just going to start rolling the camera now, and you know, if you want to just start by, and we'll just have a conversation. I won't be doing much with the camera or anything like that, you know. But if you want to talk about your, you know, your earliest recollections when you came to Silver Islet and kind of the things that you did when you were a kid out here and so forth.
Well, I guess my first experience out here was we had the Bennett cottage, which the Bennetts moved away from here. They moved down to the States and in about 1930, I guess. And anything that they didn't want, they left in the cottage out at Takadaisy. And my brother he got into asthma, and my dad worked in the elevators, and grain dust, of course, was a bad thing. And in town he was in trouble, but out here he was fine. So my mother was a good friend of one of the Bennett clan, and she wrote and asked if we could use the cottage if we maintained it. So Dad came out, and he had almost tunneled his way in the front to get into the front porch. But anyway, he cleaned things up, and he did a lot of maintenance on the thing. So that was how we started to come out to Takadaisy, and we used that. I guess my parents used that until Gordon Bennett, he finally he was posted. He was a minister, and he was posted into Wisconsin, and he managed to get up. And so he was interested in taking the cottage over, and he had to go through the whole family, and I think there were about 6 of them. So it took him several years to get this cleared up. Anyway, in the 50s, we decided we better buy a cottage. So we bought the one next door from the Slacks in 1951. Okay, so our childhood, our young days out here, it was a great place. We had a good gang of kids. We had Bill Biggs, who lived in Old Glory. He was his aunt was an Alsop, and Mrs. Alsop owned the cottage, and so Mrs. Biggs brought Bill up, and so he was out here, and Sandy Webster, and Billy Duffield, he was the youngest Duffield, and there was Ken Campbell, who was a nephew of Ernie Cross. He was his mother was a sister of Ernie's wife, and so there was a good gang, and my dad bought a rowboat from the Pattons, actually, who used to stay and they owned the cottage next Takadaisy, which is the Fox place now. It was a dual residence at that time. And the Rosses were on one side and the Pattons were in the other. Anyway, the Pattons had this old rowboat, a lapstrake boat with not quite a square stern, but a very well-shaped boat. And Dad bought that from him for $15 or something. And Dad worked in the elevator, so he was the master mechanic. So he took it into town and rebuilt it, and so that we had that rowboat out here, and we had a couple that were I think 8-foot oars, so they're hard to get. So we had oars, and Dad put a sail on it. So, and we used to spend an awful lot of time on the water, and among other things, you know, we used to do a lot of hiking. Used to walk over the cliff on the other side on Surprise, and have a small fire in the caves over on the other side, and we'd come back in the pitch black at night, and we had, of course, we had the dance hall, and they had dances on Saturday night, and Grace Webster used to play the piano, and so that was every Saturday night during that. That's where we learned to dance, of course. And then there were the Jones girls and Trink Bullard, Trink Edwards in that time, and Betty Pickles, her neighbor, and Betty Pury, and it was a whole gang of them. And so we had a lot of fun. We used to come out on the first July weekend, and we'd go back in on Labor Day, and be the first time we'd even see an electric light, except if I was on a boat. And so, and everybody knew everybody else when the boat was here, because everybody went to meet the boat, and so it was a rallying point. So you always knew who was here, and so it was fun. Then the war came along, and that kind of put a stop to things. I should say, go back. The road came in, that changed things. The boats kept running. We still had the Wabick and the Rapids Queen, and it still had a boat coming out here until about 38, 39. So there was still an alternative of using the boat. And of course, when we had the road, well, our folks used to come out. It was a 2-hour trip in those days, and Frank Wilson and I guess Hugh Stevens and a bunch of down at the other end. The Wilsons had the place in behind the president's house by Creighton's at that time, and Frank had what they called the Bug, which was a Model T Ford with a stripped down and no fenders or anything. And I guess he had the speed record for coming out here, because he could go around all the corners faster than anybody else. But it was a 2-way road, or at least a 1-way road, and you had to, at times you would have to stop and back up to get a passing place.
Right.
So it was interesting that way. We used to, Ernie Cross, of course, had his Model T Ford truck, which he used to deliver stuff down the avenue. And he would go down to the boat and go down that hill to the boat, and use the reverse on the Ford transmission and for a brake, and so that's how we got stuff delivered. That was before cars came. Then the cars came, of course, and that changed that. But, and of course we used to get ice cream on Sundays. Well, we'd wait until about Wednesday because by then everything was starting to thaw out, and we'd go down and Maggie would give us great big ice cream cones. And she had a soda fountain and some things like that, and carbon dioxide cooling and things like that. So, oh yeah, it was just a great place to grow up, and I think we never lacked for something to do, and so there wasn't much trouble we could get into, really. So we had a great time. And I think we were very fortunate in having that background. And the war came along, of course, that put an end to things, and by that time we were at the stage where we were going to finish collegiate, and we were ready to join up. And so, of course, that pretty well ended things until after the war. We lost some good. Bill Biggs was killed, and even training in Bomber Command, and well, I guess Jack Duffield he went missing in Bomber Command. There were several of the guys that, the gang that used to be out here. So after the war, it was a changed place, and new people and things like that. And Sandy moved away, and it was a while before Stu actually came back and took over the cottage. Well, that's we came back, and we bought this cottage next door in 1951, and I went to university and got my degree. The government DBA put us through that, and I got a job at the Thunder Bay mill, paper mill, and so I was there. I graduated in '49, and I worked there until 1956, and I was transferred down to Toronto. But I said when we went down, I said, well, okay, we'll go down, but the family comes up here every summer, and we did that. At first, of course, I only had 2 weeks holidays, so at first Marg used to take the train up, and I would come up on my holidays and bring them home, and drive them up and drive home. And then that got to be a bit much, because I think one trip up, Mark left, and the CPR at Toronto ran a line up there, went up to Sudbury, and at Sudbury they picked up the Montreal connection, the Montreal train. Well, they got up to Sudbury, and the Montreal train was 8 hours late, and so they had to sit there until it came. And so they got in here about, I don't know, 1 o'clock in the morning or something like that. And Mark had 4 kids. So, and on the way back, she got on the train. We had 2 berths, and they they'd given away her berth. So that was a hassle. So that was the last time we took the train. After that, we drove up. I used to drive them up, and we got pretty well settled into a routine, so we would make it in one day. So we would leave at about 6 in the morning and get in here about 9:30 at night.
Mm.
And the kids were pretty good. The car, I used to low a tire practically every trip, and because it was well loaded.
Right.
But so the kids really were here every summer, and so they got attached to the place too. And this was what our aim really was to make sure that this place wasn't forgotten, and it's worked out very well. The kids, all our kids are interested in it, and they now have taken over ownership of it, and they're, they get along well together. So it's worked out very well for us. We've had a lot of fun. In the post-war years, we were young, we were bringing up our families, and we all had boats, and we used to go out on picnics, and Mac Auld he had an old truck, so we used to, in those days we could drive to places like Sawyer's Bay, and we'd all pile on the truck, and if the road wasn't good, or if we got it in, we'd get out and push it, push where we had to, or whatever. And so we used to do a lot of things like that. One night we decided we'd go out to Trowbridge, and so I think there were 2 or 3 boats, and went out there and came back, and started to rain when we get out there. Came back in the pouring rain, pitch black, couldn't see anything. And then we went down to Alds and played cards until 3 o'clock in the morning. And I had to drive back to Toronto the day after that. That was a tough trip. So, the Stevensons, the Alds, we had a good gang of people, and the Bullards, of course, and Porters, Gwen and her family came up here, and they built the cottage over on Surprise, and the Pearies, of course, were involved in all this. We had not too many of them left now. Pretty well gone. So it's a little bit lonely out here now. It's different. Of course, we're not able to do things we used to do either. So. And, guys like Stu Webster gone, Hugh Stevenson and we got pretty close, and we used to do a lot of fishing and spend a lot of time together. Mm-hmm. So when these people go, it makes a difference. But still in all, it's great to be able to get out here, and we consider ourselves very fortunate, really, to be able to do that. And I don't know how much longer we'll be able to, but certainly we appreciate what we have now. And of course, the kids have been very good to us. most of the, well, two of them live in Toronto, and the other lives in Alaska, but and the one like Lois is probably spends more time here than the other two do. But they're still, they've got a lot of money invested in the place, and they're just interested and Jim he's spending 2 weeks up here, and so he's been up about 4 times, and Joan has been up for a week, and she's coming back in Thanksgiving to close the place up. So, and her kids, she's got 3 grandchildren, and 3 boys. 2 of them live in Toronto, and they both come up. The one in New York, he lives in New York in Manhattan. And he's married to a New York girl, and so she's afraid to come out. but Mike got up last for our 90th birthday last year, and spent a week here, and so he's still very, says, oh, I'm going to come up regardless of whether. So I think the kids will keep the place going. So I think that's pretty much the story, Tom. I don't know whether there's anything else.
Well, I wondered, by the way, there's a possibility that Frank Morrison might be coming out tomorrow.
Oh, yes.
Is
that right?
I saw yesterday, we talked to one of his son-in-laws, and evidently that might happen. And I said to him, well, you know what? There was someone here that predicted it, and it was you. And he's going to be out before the summer's over.
Oh, that's right. Frank's got a great attitude, very positive attitude. That was a very sad thing. And I'm sure he'll probably make it, But that's really tough. As I say, I think we're very fortunate. It's something that I look forward to every year, coming out here, and it's just a nice way to live, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of good people out here still, we've still got a lot of good friends out here, and people who've been good to us. Your generation has been very good to us. So we're happy.
Yeah. How unique do you think Silver Islet is compared to other cottage areas?
Silver Islet is it's unique in that it is isolated to the point enough that people don't come out here and just spend the night or the weekend. They come out and live here. Now, things have changed a little bit in that regard, but that's the way it was when we were here. People came out and lived here for 2 months, and so we had a community. Right. And it's unlike a resort where people come out on weekends or for the evening and go in, and people drop in for the evening and go back down. If people come out here, they're going to spend at least a day out here, and so I think in that regard, it's like living in a different environment for 2 months of the year. Completely different. It's a different community. Mm-hmm. And I think this is the great attraction of the place. The fact that we don't have power, and we haven't had a lot of the luxuries up until recently. I think was an attraction too. It makes it different. You know, well, when you think back to what Marge went through, we had 4 kids out here, about 2 years apart each, and she used to have to do the diapers, and she used to have to take the tub out and fill it with hot water and heat it on the wood stove.
Right.
And she used the little scrub board and a hand wringer, and she used to do diapers every day. We didn't have throwaway diapers, and, you know, and a heck of a lot of work, really. And you never heard anybody complain about it. Everybody did it. So, you know, and that was something that I guess it's just different. And I think you know, a lot of the friendships that we have out here were lifetime friendships. These are people that we knew when we were kids, and they were still out here up to a few years ago, and so and this meant a lot to us. You know, both Mark and I. This is where we met. And
How was it? How'd you meet? How did you meet?
Well, Mark was the Joneses had Nivens College, okay, and there were 6 girls, there were 6 in the family. There was Tom and Irma and Jim. Jim he built a cottage on Surprise, right? And Helen and Gwen and Mark, and so Mark and Gwen were in our gang that we hung around together, and we used to go together in the summertime. In the winter we went to town. We never saw our parents, but then later on we did, and so that's how we got together, and so we didn't get married till after the war, but Marg went in nursing. She took her nursing training at McKellar and graduated in 43. And I joined up in 41, and so I didn't get back until 45. So we got married in 46, and I started school. I started university, and so we went through university. We were into the accelerated course at Queen's, and started in April of 46, and we went through and took 2 years in one. Like we took 2 years, and then we ended our second year in April of 47, and then 48 and 49 took the regular season. So, and Joan was born in 47, so we had Joan to lug around with us for the last couple of years. So it was good.
Yeah.
I bought a 1946 Nash second hand, and we on our last year at university, we lived out on a farm.
Join us.
No, my daughter told me to stay outside.
No. Please. Have a seat.
Oh,
Just
I'll
a-
be quiet.
No. This is, I'm talking about Silver Islet.
Oh.
You know, people who
Something we're a little familiar with.
yeah.
Here's
Yeah, just slide over just a little bit more that way. And, yeah, good.
Let
Oh,
on I know him, eh?
There we go. Yeah, we were, you know, discussing the early days and
Uh-huh.
what did you like to do best when you were a child?
Have fireplaces set by Mr. Love.
Okay, can you explain that a little bit?
Well, he always had a big fire for all the kids
Okay,
way
where-
back. He lived next door. Rendell's have a sign on his house, and we were next door to Mr. Love. He was the truant officer in town.
Oh,
So we, and Gord's mother lived, before she was married, lived upstairs there, so we all knew each other, didn't we? That's where your mother used to live.
talked about that.
Kept track of how well his father kept his future wife. They didn't have any children, and but they came out for years. Long before they bought was Compton's place, and Mother and Dad rented it long ago. And they bought Gavin's house next door. Oh, we should call you Chatty Cathy.
Gives the interruption.
Sorry. Come on.
oh, that's all right.
No.
Quite a bit of life left in that dog. All of a sudden, she came alive, eh? So, what were your favorite things besides that when you were young?
Mr.
here?
Love made us dancing dolls out of wood
Oh, really?
and different kinds of puzzles out of wood. He didn't have any children, and but he was very much a good neighbor to Gwen and I particularly. The other was too busy down at the beach. Tom and Helen and Jim they were with the Mills gang and the Canutes and all that. But none of they're not around, so there's just Helen and I left, and Helen's in with how do we call it? Over in Pioneer Ridge,
Oh, okay.
and she and Hetty Duke are in there,
Oh,
and their
Come on.
their job is to welcome the newcomers. So she doesn't come out here
Hattie
anymore.
Duke lives in the same place. And
Yeah.
every time he sees Helen, of course, he's Hattie Duke being Hattie Duke.
right.
You know, that's my girlfriend and so on.
Yeah.
Helen's doing pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah. And she's got a good helper. So, that fog's come in again.
Mhm.
We could see Powder Rock there to start with.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went out in the kayak this morning in the fog. I like kayaking in the fog.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I can still see shores.
You know where
You
you're
have a
going.
GPS on you, do you?
No, I have a compass.
Oh.
And if I get lost, I just go north.
Oh.
Yeah, you can't miss.
Yeah.
Can't miss. You don't want to go south, but north is fine.
More rocks south, Arthur.
No, there's more lake.
That helps. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, kayaks are much more popular than canoes and things, aren't they,
They are now,
these
yeah.
days? Yeah, I've never done one, but we have two here. But the girls like them.
Mm-hmm.
It's getting them pushed off. The water was a little low,
At first.
and there were a lot of, and it's coming up, isn't
Oh,
it?
it's way up.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So the rocks are a little less obvious now. So you can, I guess they can do it. I don't know.
Did you enjoy the dances at the dance hall?
Did we see them?
Mhm.
Did we see them?
No, did you enjoy when
Oh,
the dances,
yes.
when they were
The good old days.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was,
And the masquerades.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
He used to have church services down there.
Oh,
Yes, every Sunday, pretty well. There was always a minister. Well, I shouldn't say always, but very frequently we had ministers camping. Mr. Heath from Trinity used to be just a few houses down here, and I actually saw one wedding from Old Glory. Have you ever done that? A couple of years ago, wasn't it?
Well, at the wedding,
Who was the minister?
no, the minister was Tab Cuckoo.
Well, or you're talking about when Dick and Marilyn were married.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, didn't you hear the comment that marriage is already on the rocks?
That was,
People are so
they were
kind.
down on the rocks.
Oh, right.
Stu Webster was dying.
Of course. That was
There's
just coming from him, it would be expected.
Of course.
Yeah,
Oh, that's good.
yeah.
The Webster family had great sense of humor, and
Oh,
they're a
clever.
real showman. Sandy and Stu particularly were real characters.
Of course, Sandy was an actor. Got his practice out here.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the theater down east. Hmm. He was at Kingston when Gord was at Queen's, and Stuart had a what was Stuart?
Well, Stuart was dean of students at
Queen's.
Queen's, but you know that because Stu, Thomas already interviewed Stu.
Yeah.
Yes.
Remember many years
So
ago.
you got it firsthand, but
Right.
we remember visiting them because Gord was there at Queen's.
Sandy's still around, but I guess
Oh, really?
he's got Alzheimer's.
Oh.
Yeah, he had to retire from his acting
So
things. Yeah.
but he was up for Bee's wedding. Yeah, me and Peter's wedding.
Oh, right.
I think he was up for that.
Yeah.
So I used to. I guess you heard of they put on a newspaper,
Oh.
and they remember the reproduction used gelatin,
Oh yeah,
you know,
Oh, okay.
for reproducing
they were,
and
put it in a cake pan and do this, and it would come printed.
Oh, okay.
Silver Islet Standard, it was called. That was in your.
What years? Is that?
Well, Joan and
well, there was Sandy Webster and
our Joan.
and Trink and
Yeah, Trink Bullard.
Trink, of course, her dad was a sports editor on the Times Journal, so
Oh.
and there was, I guess everybody was involved in the thing one way or
Yeah,
another.
kept up the news.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, it was. They used to put that. I got a couple of years they put them out. And then one year our daughter Joan was. They used to send in a weekly report to the papers on the activities out here. I guess Joan was the reporter for 1 year, and she wrote a screed on all the people that visited our oil. I guess people were going out there in their motorboats. And I guess the customs people got hold of this.
Oh.
Well, Mr. Coombs was a custom officer, is he?
She was warned not to talk about it.
Uh-huh. News is news. They forget how vital it is to get the right
Yeah.
emphasis.
Or avoid.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And Mr. Love used to be good to all of us,
Wow.
not just the Jones kids, but anybody around. He was trying to entertain whoever was handy, and he had,
He was the truant officer in Fort William.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
so he, so people,
Truant officer, you know what that
Oh,
was.
yes. I never had a run-in with one.
Yeah.
But
no,
And,
of course,
he was,
Mr. Garner was our agriculture teacher in high school, and so we knew a few of them for years.
he was Mark McCutcheon's father.
oh,
Yeah,
So that was the Garner place. McCutcheon.
just down
Mark,
here, next to Old Glory,
Mary-
this side of Old Glory.
Mary,
It's hard to remember married names.
yeah, I know what you mean.
yeah.
Times change.
Mary's mother, she married Bill McCutcheon, and
Jim.
they took her Jim McCutcheon, and they
Yeah.
took over the cottage. But it was Garner's place originally.
Yeah,
And,
Okay.
and
we're going back since we're older than you are.
Oh, yes, this is why I'm here. To learn.
yeah, they had bridge clubs out here, like the women played bridge.
Well, Mrs. Sear next door was an avid bridge
Oh,
player.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Had a,
And,
yeah.
well, I guess the Garners and the Jewetts and the Joneses and the Sears.
They didn't come up to
And
Mrs.
then-
Sears.
Down on the beach there was another gang down there. So it was a community. You know, you had all the activities going on
Right.
on the normal.
And the normal
that you'd have
ones.
in town.
Sports day, etc.
Right.
The long distance swim, and the captains of the boats used to give cups, didn't they? Like Marge Garner. And then
we had some
and the
good swimmers.
Wyonians were terrific swimmers and teachers for us too, and they
Mark-
called them Wyonians, but they were from the Y, and they were good because if somebody needed life saving, you know, diving off the board or something, you know, didn't matter who it was, they'd look after them till they got to shore and things, and there was quite a lot. Mott Beatty and I forget all the names, but they used to come out here as a whole group, and then they'd be over there swimming, and they'd teach casually, but they weren't professional as far as out here, but they were in town.
Right.
Yeah, so we had interesting times.
Mark McCutcheon, she used to swim. I think she swam out to Trowbridge, didn't you?
I don't know.
One time. Mark Pickles did.
Yeah, one of
Uh,
the Pickles.
Aubrey, was it?
That would be Aubrey's sister.
Yeah, Margaret.
And Betty's sister.
Okay.
Yeah,
Uh,
yes, she was a really good swimmer.
they were quite.
Aubrey was-
Pickles, Aubrey was a good swimmer too.
But there were some brave souls.
Oh,
Mm.
And the dock, or at least the raft down at Surprise, you had to swim out to the raft. And it had the diving board and everything on it. I think one year it took off, broke its anchor and ended up down at the other end. Dragged it down.
That was another thing that had to be looked after.
right, right.
Yeah.
And,
Do you hang around the store much
um,
when it was open?
well, you know, I still say the fact that we don't have the boat. You know, everybody had to come out by boat.
Mm-hmm.
And so that meant that you got to know everybody because you'd meet everybody. You knew who was coming off the boat to where they were going to be staying and that. So it was easy to sort of keep track of people. So we did help. And I know before the church service, a lot of us we younger people would stop and get a, what was it called? It was a big chocolate thing with nuts in it, and we'd buy a piece and go to church and sit in the back row and hope nobody heard us clunking, I guess. But that was after the boat would go out, you see.
We had to depend upon the store for our food,
Yeah,
and to, like bread and things like that.
ice,
We used to,
ice cream, everything.
so yes, the store was sort of the center of everything.
And it had a nice soda. Remember the soda fountain?
That was
Shells.
before my time.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know when they put that, but and Maggie Cross, Ern's aunt, was the one that gave the biggest ice cream cones. We were always glad when she was behind the ice cream. We could depend on her bigger ice cream cones. Things were very important in those days.
Yes.
Barney had cows, so
Oh.
he used to sell milk.
Yeah. And you could get ice cubes to put in your,
He had
because we didn't have
the
fridges.
ice house down in the basement of the store. You remember that, probably, don't you?
No, I don't.
At the back
I wasn't
door
there
there.
then.
It'd be like just by the stairs there, where the stairs are on the side of the
Okay.
store now. That was an ice house. He used to put up ice every year, and
Right.
so people that had ice boxes, he could.
Oh, that's great.
Hmm. Or else you dug a hole for one of those, yeah. What did they call the things that went into the ground that people had?
Like a root cellar, or?
Well, what did we call them? You-
Dumb waiters.
Dumb waiters, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, there was no cooling. And
Electricity,
you,
no.
and you only got the food when the boat came in, or you had to they had to keep things, and there was no refrigeration. So.
Right.
And of course, the milk only lasted for about 4 days.
Cow's milk, you know it was. Right from the cows. Except we used to have so many quarts come out on the boat with our names on the top.
Okay.
So,
They turned the caps upside down and they put your name on it.
Oh. Okay.
so,
And,
so we had to go down to the boat to get the supplies. And then we expected my dad to bring all the fresh fruit and that when he came out on the midnight boat. Was that on Friday or Saturday night?
Saturday night. The stores closed at 10 o'clock. And the
In
boat
town.
would leave at about 10:30.
Yeah.
Get out here at midnight
Mhm.
and bring the people out, the men out.
And
and
anything
then
that
they
we'd
would go
ordered.
back into town and come out the next morning. So, and the boat would arrive just about the time the dance was breaking up.
Great excitement.
I imagine it would be.
Oh, it was a big event. And when we had two boats, then the fights were on. Because whoever got there first, if it was the Isle of Prince, it was all right. But if the Rapids Queen got, it covered more of the dock. And then the Isle of Prince would come and
You couldn't get in.
you couldn't get into the slip. And there used to be a little verbal altercation, you'd say.
The two captains would be out there yelling at each other,
No,
and the passengers.
We'd be cheering. Yeah, Captain Irvin and old Mr. Fader. And of course we all stuck up for him because we'd been coming out on the Isle of Prince for a good long while. Yeah. Oh, we had different kind of fun, and a lot of people did it there along the shoreline and that, you know. We thought we were sort of special with these little things about coming out by boat.
Sure.
And then, of course, when the road came in, well, that was an adventure in itself at first, but that wasn't quite as long ago as we used to have to come out. So it made life interesting. And as I say, you got to know, even you didn't get common friends and that, but I mean, you knew who was who and could begin to associate who would come out to visit them and that. We were nosy kids, just in case. Yeah. But my mother and dad, the first times they were out, they were in the president's house. And Macroths are their friends. They were in they had a few leaks to look after. It depended which floor they were on. But that's the way they started out here. I guess there were quite a few friends that used to come out. We weren't. They only had Tom and Jim and Irma, I guess. I never remember being down there, but they used to come out. And Trelawney was famous, you know, to rent. So there were people that, I don't know what years that would be, but I know the president's house must have been rented for a long time, because my brother Tom was born in 1912, and they used to bring their babies out, you know, there. So they liked adventure. Once they got 6 kids, it wasn't quite as adventurous.
Right.
But that's how they started out here. And the Macros would be there. They were good friends, mother and dad's, and they'd rent for a few years. But then mother and dad bought the cottage, and we had it for years and years and years.
What's the history of the 2 cottages? You know, what these were original cottages here?
Yeah, you know,
This was an original one.
yeah.
The one next door was not.
Oh, okay.
This
I
was-
remember when that was built. Mr.
Oh,
McGee
this-
built that one.
Oh.
This originally, I guess the C. Chapel owned it at one time. And I think probably he put the siding on it, and that's Douglas fir siding on this thing.
Oh.
And then he sold it to, I believe, I don't think Gavin went to Cunningham. Alvin Cunningham
Right.
bought it, and he had his mother. He was a bachelor, and
Oh,
his
his mother
mother
was
lived out here. And,
Quite an old lady,
he
isn't he?
used to work he'd start at 8, at about 9 in the morning,
Oh.
and he'd go out and work till noon, and then he'd stop and have lunch. He'd go out at 1 o'clock, and he'd work till 3 and have his coffee, work till 5. And he did that every day,
I know.
and he,
And he had his
so
old
this
mother out
parking lot is he hauled all the rock across there. All that concrete is all hand
And mixed, eh?
hand mixed in a wheelbarrow. And his garden and all
Oh, he
the
had a
rocks
lovely
and
garden.
everything.
Mhm.
So he's the guy that, and he, I guess he put the water in, he one of the first people to have a water system, I think,
Wow.
in the house. He did a lot of work in the place.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
He built the garage too, didn't he?
oh yeah, and then of course when the place next door, which is owned by the Crosses, it burned on
Yeah.
about 37.
Jenkins, the undertaker, rented that one.
It burned down on the weekend. We were out here that weekend.
We were on the bucket brigade when that
And,
burned.
there was a slight wind blowing down the avenue,
Oh.
and we had people on, and a lot of some of the cottages still had shingles, wooden shingles on.
Mhm.
And of course, every one of these, every bit of char and everything landed would start a fire on the darn thing. So we had people on all the porches and so on with buckets here. I was up on one. I know that was my job, but one of them went down to Old Glory.
Yeah.
And,
One of the
and it
sparks.
got a fire started up at the peak
Didn't Bill Biggs put it out?
of Old Glory, and I don't know who it was, but they got up. They had a ladder up to the side of the building, and they had a bucket. A guy with a bucket, and he had 1 foot on the ladder and 1 foot on the roof, and he threw water up, and he managed to get that out. And if that had gone, the whole avenue would have gone. They had to replace the roof on Old Glory because of that. But it was quite an exciting time.
Oh.
And they had a bucket brigade
Yeah.
down here, and of course, same as they had for Gitchigummy there.
Right.
Not quite as
And
new.
one of
Real buckets.
the jokes there was, Monty Montgomery, he was on the water line. So he said, the first time I've ever seen you on a water line.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, that was, we had some exciting times.
yeah. Well, our house would have been the next one with the shingles, and Gwen and I rode on by ourselves because my dad was playing in New York and he had to go into town. And Gwen and I, when we got word that we should go down and help with the bucket brigade, we left a pail of water beside our house because we knew that if we rode here just alone and our house went on fire, we'd probably get bawled out. So we left a bucket of water by the steps, but that Old Glory was the last one to have to work with it. But I know we had shingles.
We got some close calls.
Oh, interesting.
Anyway, that property then, they sold half of it to Sears and half to Eldon. And so that's the reason and that's the property the garage is on. When Eldon got that, then he built that garage, then he cleared that cliff and the patio and so on.
Yeah, so they were pretty close.
So that was all on Russ property originally.
Oh, I hadn't realized. Which crosses?
That was Jim Cross and Jim and John's father.
Ernie?
Brenda's husband.
Oh, well, Black Jim.
Hmm?
Yeah. Brenda's husband, Black Jim. You know, there's Black Jim and Red Jim.
Oh yeah, well they were the younger ones.
Yeah,
They were
yeah.
they were the crosses.
So
his
of
dad was Black Ernie.
Yeah, okay.
Black Ernie,
Okay.
older.
Right, right.
Yeah, they lived in there.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But it was a very exciting day. Yeah, Gwen and I were having a fit.
So that was the power. That was when Eldon built the garage and finished all that section up there.
It was a big house, you know, a miner's house, but it had a nice veranda all around, and because Mr. Kirby, who was the organist at St. Andrews, used to come out and rent it, and he had 2 daughters that we used to play with, but I don't think he was in it when the fire started because wasn't it Sunday?
It was a weekend.
Yeah, it was a weekend.
Oh, okay.
And that's why Gwen and I were by ourselves.
Hmm.
But it was a lovely looking house, nicely painted and everything. It was too bad. But it was rented more than permanently occupied by any particular one. But it was sort of exciting. Mm-hmm. It's the only one. Did we have any other fires? I don't remember any other fires along the way. Do you?
Not when we were out here. No, most of the fires have happened when there was no one around. I guess the Dow place
Oh yeah,
next
dogs.
to Patton's there, between Patton's and Gitchigummy.
Yeah.
I guess it happened in the fall.
Yeah.
I think there were workers out or something, and they left the fire and got away on them.
Yeah.
But
Now, of course, it's the fire brigade from Pasadena.
we've been lucky with our fires
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
that they haven't spread, because this avenue is That was a close one, really, yeah.
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 It was pretty exciting there for a while.
Yeah.
And we don't need that kind of excitement, do we?
Don't want it to happen again.
No.
Well, now it's a little more modern with but the pumps were no good when what was it, Gitchigummy had trouble last year.
Oh,
And they got people, you know, with the hoses and that to go down, but they weren't strong enough. The power to
There were
get out.
two pumps that worked.
Did it?
Sonny Miller's and mine.
Well, good. Go to the head of the class.
Yeah, I think I will.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah.
But I remember them saying a lot of them weren't strong enough or
Well,
something.
I think a lot of the hoses they had were bad. And
Oh.
so they were, you know, rupturing.
Oh,
Yeah. So,
yeah, because didn't that start sort of a little better conversation with
oh, yes.
fire plans and
Yeah. Yes.
Mhm.
So they now have at least one portable pump that's at the
Pest-
property. No, right
Oh,
at
yeah, I thought I saw something.
there's a shed there, and it has
Oh.
a trailer with
Oh,
machine on it.
Mhm. Because that would have been a disaster for that
Oh,
building. Well, any building, but I mean that was a special one.
right. Very,
Mhm.
very special.
And the propane tanks were not too far away.
Right.
Was that a danger?
Well, yeah. As a matter of fact, you know, it was a shed that was on fire, and there was a propane tank in there, and
Oh,
one of the fellows who's a policeman in Vancouver, he's married to one of Scott Atkins's daughters. He went in and pulled it out.
oh.
Yeah.
Well, it could have been a little explosion. If that's what she was
Could have
afraid
been a
of.
big explosion.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that was it. We were sitting in here, and there were all these cars racing.
Yeah.
And then Jim Stevens happened to arrive, dropped in and said, "Oh, there's a big fire at Gitchigummy." And but they didn't. Our fire. What did you have? You had some hose or something in the garage at that time, didn't you? And it didn't seem as if it was a very popular thing, because Jim said it was hard to get the water that far
Right.
with most of the equipment. So but we wondered what all this excitement
Yeah.
was on the avenue, and so we found out. But
Had some good fires, I guess, in 1930 when the president's house. That must have been quite a fire. We weren't out that time. That must have been something.
well,
Do you remember when they were fishing out of Tea Harbor?
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
yeah. We used to go over there. Yeah, the fishermen had their headquarters.
Their net
just on
clean
this side
net
of
dryers.
of this bay. Yeah,
Oh,
at the dock in there.
yeah.
Yeah, I guess they moved down. They moved down about 35 when the road came in.
Okay.
They had to, they had to take everything into town by boat, I guess, up until the road came in.
Better.
And then when the road came in, they moved down here, and they were able to
Okay.
get.
So did you have mixed feelings when the road came through?
The
In
road?
a way, but not really.
No.
The boys liked it.
What, mixed feelings, you say?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
You could
I
pick
don't
and
know.
choose when you were coming in.
It changed things a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we missed the Islet Prince because Captain Fader would take us to Tea Harbor, and the way he ended the trip, he just ran into the boat into the sand.
Oh,
Never mind the dock, and then there must have been a boat or two that would unload us. I
We
can't
were young
remember.
kids at that time.
Yes.
I guess it didn't make that much difference
Right.
to us.
We didn't worry about the.
They had some
Details.
interesting things. The first year, I guess, Ernie Cross set up a gate by the barn, well, at the bottom of surprise, by
Right,
surprise
remember
there.
that.
And he was gonna make everybody park their car there and leave it there, and he was gonna deliver all the stuff. I guess that lasted for about one weekend. And he kind of got slow. People didn't take kindly to that, so
But he would give us, we could
but it
get,
was a try.
Yeah, yeah.
later on, I remember sitting on the back of the Shaw box, you know, that was big on the truck. 'Cause before I went in training, I had to get my inoculations. And so, well, I wasn't the only one, but some be sitting on these bread boxes and having to duck because some of the trees were still across the road. So we got our exercises as well as our inoculation. Then he'd say, well, meet me at such and such a place at such and such a time. Well, we did a little wandering, but he brought us home back here. So that was sort of a privilege.
Sure.
That he had to go back into town to get the food for the store. So we arranged our shots at the doctor's place when we knew the truck was going into town. And he was very obliging. So,
But it was exciting when the boat was here. You take a day like today, you know,
mhm.
and the boat was due in. Well, you know, he'd be out there and cruising around in this fog, and you know, there's some weird stories of what happened in the fog around here. What was it? Jim and his dad, Jim, your brother Jim, came out on the tug.
Mhm.
The Red Fox, was it? Anyway, they came out in the fog and they ended up in Sawyer's Bay. And, you know, all they had was the RPM of the prop and the compass.
Right, right.
And
a watch.
Well, the unfortunate
And a
thing
watch.
And a watch.
Mother had
That's
packed a
right.
rhubarb pie
Yeah,
with some of the baggage. Jim thought it was a pillow. He found out. Yeah, that was exciting.
So it was, you know, there was a lot of excitement around the place. And when the boat came in, everybody went down there. And, you know, there'd be rowboats and everything out here. And of course, we all had rowboats. Nobody had a motor.
Right.
The only one that had a motor was Plucker White, and he had a sea fleet. He had a...
Sea fleet? A sea fleet, did we call it?
We call it a sea fleet. It was
Mhm.
just a
Flat
square
bottom. Motor on the
a speedboat.
Mhm.
And put a 25 horsepower motor on, which was a big motor in those days.
Right, right. Oh, yeah.
And,
That was
and of course, Clucker was a professional hockey player, right?
Right.
So he
Nothing
could afford to
daunted.
do these things. But yeah, it was exciting, and I think it lost something when the road came through.
We just became modern
Mhm.
to a degree.
However, it didn't detract all that much from it.
Mhm.
It, we're still coming.
Right, exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, you know, there, some people, I don't know, maybe you have TV, you know. do you have-
No. Mhm.
Yeah, we don't have that yet, but we do have internet, you know.
I don't know anything about these things, but Gord has everything.
The only reason I got a TV is we had the kids bought us a high definition, and we already had one receiver in town, and it was sitting there, and we were paying for it. And So I decided we may as well went and got hold of an aerial or a dish and put it up and put it out here. But we don't use it very much.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And our batteries aren't heavy enough to.
But all these other things, machines that I know nothing about, Lois has been having to do some work before she leaves Alaska.
Okay.
And what was that thing on the table that she was getting message or prints or something? Little flat thing, you pressed a button and she could
An
find
iPad.
some
iPad.
things.
It's an iPod.
Yeah, I guess
iPad,
that's how much I know about that end of things.
So you have internet as well?
No, we don't.
Oh,
She has to go into town.
Yeah, to sort of finish her. She's got.
she
She's
come down to our place.
You
Yeah.
have internet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know. Well, she's retiring from Alaska and moving to Campbell River
Oh,
in BC.
She has to do a lot of, quite a bit of her, she's still working, and so she's doing it all on the internet. So she
Right.
has to-
Yeah, and you realize, you know, that's a long way from Alaska here, and here she is, you know,
That's
finishing up her work. So
Yeah.
that's a big break. 'Cause she wouldn't have been able to stay until the last days
That's
of
great.
Alaska.
Yeah.
So she's been up there a long time. But interesting.
No, it's a little different now.
Yeah, sure is. But
And you know, people don't spend as much time out here now.
No,
there are a lot of houses.
We're
That
missing that, you know.
I know.
I haven't missed a day since I was 2 out here. Even through the war,
Wow.
I came down. You were home on leave or something. This was before we were married, of course. And you were on leave, weren't you? Or were you out here when I arrived?
When
During the war. You weren't around to,
45, I was here.
you know, but I know that I came down from Winnipeg. I was in the army up there and came down and was determined I wasn't going to miss everything. But it was only for a day. Well, I'm sure the Cross family have filled you in very well with all the stories.
Well,
Yes, I'm sure.
some of them, not everything. That's why I'm asking. You know.
When we moved into Chartwell, I was so disappointed because not Jane, but
Brenda.
had just moved. Was just moving out when we moved into the bungalow
she
of
just-
Chartwell. Yeah,
And it just
and I thought, oh,
died.
we'll know somebody around the area.
Yeah.
Yes, that was sad. I didn't realize at the time she was leaving it was as serious as it was.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, we all used to be back and forth with all a lot of the girls, you know, including.
Yeah, I guess Brenda was really the authority on the Cross family tree, wasn't she?
Sure was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's detailed.
yeah.
Did she leave a lot of it, or?
Oh yeah, James, her son has all of that material, so hopefully he will preserve it well and.
Yeah, I was calling her Jane instead of.
Hopefully does.
Yeah.
It's very easy to lose it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There's quite a few books. I don't, out, you know. We've got a few. Bill McDonald's written some.
yeah. Some of them are interesting in their stories.
Yes.
Well, he had some good
Yes.
people to inform him. Yeah. But Florence Winfield was very handy when the masquerades were on, because I'm no artistic costume maker. And so the girls would go over and she'd make flowers, you know, to make them look like little poppies or whatever came to mind. But I could never have done that. I really appreciated her help. But it's funny, those two houses, nobody's been out this year.
I know. Last year I saw Bill and Kathy once in the store. They were having
Mhm.
coffee,
Mm-hmm.
and that was it.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah, they used to come out last year and they'd spend about 15 minutes there and they'd be gone. And this year they haven't been out at all, I don't think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, I guess Bill can't even climb the stairs to get in the cottage, I don't think.
Yeah. Yeah.
The last few times he never get out of the car. She get out.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's a shame. But well,
But one day when, you know, we had a wood stove next door and I emptied some ash up there and they realized that it was glowing too much.
oh,
Florence went up and with a pail and doused it for me and said, "You be careful when you're taking ashes up there." I said, but it
we
was
were told.
I know, and I needed to be told. I was out here probably on my own. You knew about that, wouldn't
yeah, I heard.
you? I fessed up.
Good.
But when she mentioned she could see the flames from the back door, I was a little concerned. It was just about that high, but high enough to start a forest
Sure.
fire if I hadn't gone up with my paddle and I had to. She wasn't able to run as fast as I went up. We had steps, you see, up to our 48 steps, or our
Oh.
back house. I always called it the 48 steps. Believe me, when I had 4 babies,
Oh my gosh.
I got my exercise. But 2 years apart.
Right.
But it was just up a little higher, and I thought, well, I could get up there on the steps rather than have to climb them up. But she warned me that I'd better take a pail of water up there. So I did. It was scary. But, you know, all these houses over, some of them are empty, and a lot of people that I don't know out here anymore. But
Yeah.
there's still a few
No.
people that are still hanging in there, which is nice.
Yes.
But they don't have as many dances as they used to.
No.
No. We missed Mr. Fader's son, you know, when he was a pianist on Saturday night, and he was a marvelous pianist. What was his first name? Fader.
Oh, Graham.
Graham Fader.
Uh,
Well, he was a real joy because he played the piano. Then later on, they got some other musicians. What are they doing with the dance hall?
oh, that's been. A fellow purchased it, and he was going to make it into
Yeah,
a bed and breakfast.
that's what I understood. It didn't materialize.
No.
Did he do it for 1 year? It looked divided or something.
Kind of. I mean, he did some work on it, I guess, and had it somewhat divided, but
Didn't.
he wasn't he isn't a craftsman. That's
Oh.
one thing.
You have to be comfortable when you're renting a
Yeah.
place.
Oh, yeah. And no, I think he just uses that. I saw they had some people out, but that was just probably family.
Oh, yeah.
He's rented it.
Oh, there's still somebody
Yeah.
using it. And I knew somebody had bought it, but I had never heard.
Yeah, not used very much though.
No.
Mm-mm.
Used to be with people having auction sales or whatever they used to have, dance in between the main
Yeah.
ones, and church, and occasionally Sunday school. I think there weren't too many the morning ones, but yeah, we got things to go to if we paid attention. But it looked sort of sad to see it empty for quite a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. But,
And as
Things-
you said, this has been a very quiet summer.
mhm.
Very few people.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know
Even
if
in
it's,
cars.
I don't know if it's the weather so much, or the store closed, or the docks condemned, or
Yeah.
many things all combined.
Mhm.
A lot of places just haven't had any payout.
Yeah.
Well, I thought today was going to be a different day because you could see gradually you could see Powder Rock. Well, it's faint now, but there was that little spell when it looked as if the sun was going to return, but got tired.
Well, actually, it's much better than what they forecast. So,
Yeah.
yeah. It's
What
supposed
was
to
it, rain?
Yeah, rain and
Supposed to rain?
thunderstorms.
We can do without that.
Yeah.
Maybe tonight
Yeah.
when we're all in bed.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. Miss the stars shining for us. Oh, anyway, we still come. It's as good a place as any.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. I sure appreciate you taking the time. That's great.
Oh,
I don't know, it's pretty disjointed.
Well, that's okay. You know, it's just a record. You know, that's, a few days ago, I went down and interviewed John and Robbie Philpott. You know,
oh well,
because
they're yes.
because they're having that 100th
Mm-hmm.
year event.
Yes.
And I've interviewed Sue Greer this summer,
Oh yes, well she'd be knowledgeable.
and then previously Stu Webster, and one year I videotaped Tommy Dyke
Oh yeah.
making his tour.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
It is.
We've always been endowed with a great bunch of characters here.
Knowledgeable
Yeah.
characters,
Yes.
professors, and I always
Yeah,
thought it was a pretty high class neighbors that we had. Mm.
Part of the fun of the place, I guess.
Oh yeah, we're proud of our characters.
Francis Hobson.
Yes, I never was able to get Francis into the.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, no, I mean, and you know.
You didn't start soon enough?
Didn't start soon enough, exactly.
Oh, well, what we gave you are going to be very
Give
flat
you a
with
good
all
line.
those
Do you
people's
have a
experiences.
DVD player here? Can you play DVDs on your television?
Pardon?
Like movies, can you play DVD movies on your player? Or do you have a player?
Here?
Yeah.
No, we don't.
Oh, okay.
No.
Okay.
No.
Some people do, but I don't know who they are.
No, yeah.
We're not quite as modern as that.
No, we don't have a DVD
Okay.
here.
We don't even go to the movies maybe very often anymore.
Well, the only reason I said it, I did this documentary with Scott Cheadle and Burns Cheadle
yes.
on.
Well, we're in the same
geology.
place as Scott is,
So,
or Scott's father. No, can't keep
But-
them straight.
Just a minute.
Chartwell
Yeah.
anyway.
yeah. Well, anyway,
Betty Evans is
we
there
did it. Right.
Yeah.
We saw her in town.
in Chartwell.
No, she
Oh,
was.
that's where she is.
She was in. She was coming into inner city.
Oh,
This is about a month ago,
Yeah.
but she didn't recognize us.
Is your Ridge? Pioneer Ridge?
No, this was. We were at inner city, and well, we think it was her.
but she lives at Chartwell.
Okay.
And Mr. Cheadle, not Scott, his father, Dave.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Dave.
And Vern Purdy,
You're,
or Vern
you're
Thompson.
Oh.
You know, he's there.
Huh.
So we went into his apartment one night after some activity. He invited us down because his daughter had brought some hot chocolate and something. So said, come on down. So we did, of course. And there he was with a saw spread out because he was repairing his boat. And I thought, well, that's the first apartment I've seen with a, what kind of a saw was it? Remember? He said to do with something he was doing. An ordinary saw sort of one. And I,
doing
Wow.
carving now.
Oh.
but it's handy for us because he lived on High Street and we used to pick him up. And he has a walker and take him to church. Now we just have to go across the road and pick him up.
Wow.
So it was very convenient. Make it easy because he and Gord go to different meetings and, you know,
Sure.
you may need other men in your life. Too many women. Isn't that true, dear?
Oh, don't make him say something that he's going to regret now.
Or that I may.
Well, again, thanks very much. Oh, okay. All right.
That's where most of where the old house was seems that's where the trees have grown up.
Oh, I'll be darned.
But anyway, I told her that, you know, and she didn't have a clue where it was really.
No kidding. Oh.
And And I guess there's no way that she could have known, you know.
I guess. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I recall being in the president's house area, and I think there was some fused glass that I found.
yes,
Yeah, somebody mentioned that.
she
They
mentioned
wondered
that.
where it had come from.
Yeah,
Mm.
it's from the fire.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
Of a boat or a
No,
their
it was
house?
the house, the president's house.
Maybe. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be, well, I guess it would quite a fire.
Oh.
That's, they say that, unfortunately, you know, there were no trees around there then.
No.
And it
No.
was all there, and so
Yeah.
it didn't spread.
Oh boy.
But it must have made quite a fire. I mean,
I
it's a
think
big
so.
house. 13 rooms or something.
13 rooms. Jeez.
Yeah, it's,
I guess they have had a couple of fires out here. I
Yeah.
hope they don't have any more.
That's for sure.
Mhm.